I am Captain Logan, and this is day 215 of Spawn Year. There is so little to do here in this alleyway, I'm beginning to miss all those action figures and other Spawn-related paraphernalia from the graveyard. It's nice not to have toys telling you to kill yourself or follow through on other bad ideas and wondering if you're schizophrenic, but this place is Dullsville. And unlike around the graveyard, there is no black void here to explore. You know, that's a glaring question any observant person other than Spawn would have thought to ask when he started living in Rat City. What are all those walls the backs of? What businesses or condemned buildings make up the supernatural neutral zone between heaven and hell, situated smack dab in the middle of New York City? I was sort of hoping I'd get lucky and mine would be a Pizza Hut, or a Dairy Queen, or a Toys R Us, or an AMC Theaters or something. No, scratch that. That would probably only play the Spawn movie over and over. But no such luck. No doors, no windows, no other side. I'm effectively sitting at the furthest west end of an 8-bit side-scrolling level that never ends. It's basically the middle portion of World 8-3 of Super Mario Bros., repeating in an endless loop, except there's one wall you can lean up against. That's all there is to do here. Critique one Spawn comic a day, and for the rest of the time, it's sleep, sit, lean, or read expired grocery store coupons. All this newspaper everywhere, and it's all coupons. How does 25-cent peaches and cream corn help me in freaking Spawn Year? I'm going so stir-crazy I'm about to resort to trying to remember telephone numbers and addresses from my childhood. Spawn number 105, no surprise, is doing very little to stimulate my all-but-dormant synapses. It's nice to get out of epilogue hell and start telling a little story again, but we're back to recycling old villains that were never interesting enough to begin with, doing nothing new with them, and treating the return like a huge event just because Spawn readers will have heard of them. Look, Overkill's back! Some shadowy figure in a beard squandered his whole fortune to have him rebuilt and kill Spawn. It's played up like a thrilling mystery, but if this mastermind is only shown in silhouette, I'm guessing it's someone we know. So who in Spawn continuity has money, knows enough about Overkill to have him rebuilt, hates Spawn, and has a beard? Well, it's not the devil guy, he's all-powerful. What would he need a fortune for? So, I tell you what, if it turns out it's not Jason Wynn, I'll wear this trash can lid as a hat for a whole day. And it looks like we're back to retcon land. Didn't Overkill's brother rebuild him in Curse of the Spawn? This issue was published February of 2001. If memory serves, that was like 3 years ago. Last we saw Overkill or Overt War or whatever stupid name he was using, he was bashing stuff up for that pandemic guy. So I guess that whole pointless story is rendered more pointless now because according to this, it never happened. Overkill is resurrected and paid to kill Spawn, which he wants to do anyway. At least his obvious revenge motive is still intact. Overkill kills a bunch of civilians to draw Spawn out, who now immediately comes to the aid of suffering masses regardless of possibly being seen, as evidenced by all the people he saves from a random convenient airplane crash at the beginning of the issue. Spawn wasn't this blatantly heroic back in the days when he was first fighting Overkill, and at least from Overkill's perspective, he cared more about his own interests and his friends in the alleys. It's hard to understand why Overkill or his employer are so sure they can draw Spawn out like this, and since from recent issues, we've seen Spawn as more of an invisible specter of death who can only be seen when he cares to be. So I don't know why this worked at all. So they fight and fight. Overkill's first line of dialogue is to reveal stupidly that he was hired to do the job, so Spawn now has motivation to try to force that information out of him. Overkill tries to kill the being who rightfully owns the throne of Malbolgia, which kinda sucks all the tension and danger out of the scene. Spawn uses guns, which is ridiculous now for the same reason, and Overkill winds up a disembodied head smashed up against a car windshield after refusing to answer Spawn's questions. Big shocker. Meanwhile, a crazed nerd with the leader's forehead tries to sell a tabloid pictures of Spawn saving airplane victims, only to get murdered by Jason Wynn, the mysterious figure in the shadows, henchman, before he has the chance. All of this seems contrived to communicate to the reader that bearded silhouette guy doesn't want the world to know about Spawn. And that's pretty much the comic book. The only larger idea at play is the broad notion of violence as a magnet, and that people can't help but be drawn to a tragedy. Spawn, most of all, the narration says, because he is violence and cannot escape from it. It's an odd choice by new writer Steve Niles to make this all about Spawn being chained to violence as an abstraction, instead of playing up that he's finally saving people like a, hero, just because it's the right thing to do, and killing nobody in the process. Spawn is suddenly being the good guy, and the book doesn't even know it. The narration even spins it like he just does it because he has nothing better to do. Ann Capullo's cover is pretty and all, but what do 3 red-eyed snow wolves have to do with falling airplanes and Overkill? It looks like a holdover from that period dozens of issues ago when Spawn was hanging out in the woods with red-eyed snow wolves. Oh, and the title has a typo. It should say Retribution Overt Drive. Signed, Captain Logan.